What's the deal, everybody? It's your boy King. Got some Pistons talk for y'all today. Just want to talk on a few topics. I've been reading a lot of stories and stuff out there. Listening to a lot of people been saying. Uh, First thing I want to talk about is contracts. I just read a good story about the contracts that the Pistons had that Stan Van Gundy picked up and why he did them. If y'all can remember back when we signed Reggie Jackson, everybody was basically criticizing Stan Van Gundy for paying him that $80 million contract. And as Stan Van Gundy said in the interview, look at the contract now. John Wall had signed the same thing 2 years previous to Reggie Jackson. And you got to look at Reggie Jackson numbers now, man. So, the moves that Stan Van Gundy is making with these contracts is not just to throw a lot of money at people. He's thinking forward for the future. People criticize him about the contracts he made this past free agency with John Lure and Boban, saying that he paid John Lure too much and that he paid Boban a little bit too much. But when you look forward to the years forward as the salary cap goes up and what they're going to contribute to your team. See, one thing that he mentioned is, yeah, you can get a nice contract, but does that player contribute to your team? These players will be key pieces for the Detroit Pistons, and that's one thing that you just got to look at. These contracts will look more and more like a bargain. If you look at Reggie Jackson contract today, his contract is a hell of a bargain. And one thing that he mentioned in the interview was that he's been getting calls left and right for his players, for Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson the most, but also for other players that he signed. So those GMs, they criticized them for the contracts, but now they're all over him trying to get those players because, you go out and you say, oh, don't pay him this much. This player's not worth that much and this, and that. You think about the contract as it stands of that day and your mind is cloudy because you're not thinking about the future and what that player can contribute. Of course, he talked about the situation with KCP. As far as him being a core member of our team, yes, paying him between 18 to 20 million seems like a lot today, but as years go on, it's going to be a hell of a bargain because players are going to get paid more and more outrageously high contracts, but their value to that team is not going to be what you think. It's not like you got a lot of KCPs running around, a lot of Jimmy Butler, KCP type of players. You got, those of the world like James Harden, who can give you points but won't play a lick of defense. You know what I mean? You got the Klay Thompsons that he sometimes go through shooting slumps, but at the same time, he's not the greatest defensive player. He's on and off. In some games he's engaged, some games he's not engaged. So like I said, you have to look at the value that a player brings to your team. KCP brings a lot of value to our team. Just because of the simple fact of his energy every night, his defense every night, and nights when he's on shooting, he's unconscious. That is all around game right there. And you got to understand that. So I hope that they go ahead and get this contract done with him. Do not let him hit the market like that as a restricted free agent because somebody's going to pay some outrageous money just to get him. And he's going to be a nightmare for us for years to come. So, with that being said, another thing that I wanted to talk about was I read another story where they were saying, again, that the Pistons, they picked to be to the top four. But they said that Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond both hit their peak. That is the most asinine thing I ever heard. Obviously, you can tell just with the preseason that Andre Drummond's offensive game has improved even more. His hook shot and his post moves have improved even more. He's far from his ceiling. But for Reggie Jackson, and say them about, and a lot of fans were saying that too. Reggie Jackson is not at his peak. Reggie Jackson just started for a team the previous season. This is his second year starting. And one thing you got to remember is when Chauncey Billups came here, Chauncey Billups wasn't Mr. Big Shot yet. Chauncey Billups wasn't a floor general yet. Another thing they was comparing and said that could they be great together, meaning RJ and KCP, could they be great together like Isaiah and Dumars and Rippon and Chauncey? Well, with Isaiah and Dumars, I mean, those are Hall of Famers we talking about. But Dumars' game was a lot like KCP's. He played hard defense with energy. He may have shot the ball a little bit better, but their games are very similar. Reggie Jackson will not be Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is probably one of the best point guards of all time. But as comparing them to the Chauncey and Rip, that is comparable because Rip Hamilton was not that Rip Hamilton when he first came here either. It took them time to grow together as a team to become those players that they became. And Chauncey Billups, when he first got here, was not a floor general. He was far from a floor general. He was I'm going to get my own thing type of guy. That's the, Chauncey moved around a lot, so with that being said, Reggie is still fairly young, and he has plenty time to develop. As you can see, his numbers increased last season. So I don't know why people throw our players away in the garbage so fast. It's just ridiculous, especially to hear it come from the fans. It's frustrating because people don't think. You got to really think and analyze these players' game, man. And you got to see what Stan Van Gundy and his staff see in these players. I also heard reports about LaMarcus Aldridge. Should the Pistons get him? My personal answer, no. You're going to have to give up chemistry to get that guy. Don't do what Golden State did getting Kevin Durant. You're going to have to give up a couple of players. I'd rather have a super deep team, a Detroit-style team, than to bring some big name here. I don't want LaMarcus Aldridge, to be honest, because he's going to demand them all too much, and I don't want him to be placed as the guy on the team because of his contract. Same thing happened with Josh Smith when he came here. Not comparing them two games, but when Josh Smith came here and got that big contract, he was the guy. And you don't want to do that, man. Don't mess up the team chemistry. Keep your core and keep those guys that fit in certain spots. I know it sounds delicious because it's LaMarcus Aldridge, but we don't need that contract either. So you still have players developing on our team. You got Henry Ellison that has to develop as well. We don't need that right now. Also, Jarrett Jack. We don't need Jarrett Jack either. Jarrett Jack is, I think, 32 years old. He's a nice role player, but we don't need Jarrett Jack, man. Then when you see a lot of these fans, they see these names, and they instantly want to jump and sink their claws in it. We don't need that. We need these players to play together and to develop together. We don't need no big name stars coming here. That's not the way we win with Piston basketball. It's just not the way we win, man. Let our players develop into stars. We already got one all-star. Let Reggie Jackson develop into the all-star like everybody is expecting. Let Stanley Johnson develop in years into the all-star instead of bringing some big name guy here for a ridiculous contract. Be patient, Detroit. Hold on. Be patient, man. With that being said, man, just a few topics I wanted to talk about. A lot of crazy reports and a lot of crazy talk on TV. So let me know what y'all guys think about, some of those things that I said. And you got some topics, man, or some stories or something like that, man. Let me know so I can go check them out, man. But, just give me y'all Pistons talk. We got a slight little break here until next Wednesday. So just keeping the juices going, man. But other than that, it's your boy King, man. Go ahead, leave it in the comments, man. And I'll catch up with y'all when I get a chance, man. Peace.